Story 1. I, 34 female, have been friends with O, 32 male, for close to 15 years. We dated briefly in our early 20s, but it quickly became very clear that we work better as friends. However, every now and again when we're both single we end up sleeping together. This happened recently, and despite using protection I found out this week that I'm pregnant. There's no one else who could be the father. I haven't told anyone yet, to be honest I'm still processing it. O has always been very clear that he never wants children. He had awful experiences with father figures. He never knew his biological father and his stepfather was horribly offensive. He spent time in the care system and that did some more damage. He thinks that means he could never be a good dad himself. He has also struggled a lot with his mental health over the years, so he worries about not being stable and about future kids inheriting his issues. I've seen him looking after friends' children and he's great with them. I actually think he would be a lovely dad. But I don't want to invalidate his concerns because I can definitely understand where they come from. Also, obviously some people just don't want kids and that's fine. I have always wanted kids, and I'm at an age where a lot of my friends have already started families and older relatives are making comments about my biological clock. This was genuinely a complete and utter accident, but I can't bring myself to be upset about it. And if it weren't for the fact that O was so adamantly against it, I would actually be really happy that the potential baby was his. He's absolutely lovely, very kind, hardworking, ridiculously smart and creative. And I know this isn't remotely important, but I'd be lying if I said it hadn't crossed my mind. He's a beautiful man, and I can't help thinking how adorable his baby would be. If I did go ahead with it, I wouldn't expect him to take any financial or caring responsibilities whatsoever, though if he did decide he wanted to be involved, we're such good friends I honestly feel like we could make it work. I'm in a really good position financially and career-wise and have a great support network, so I'm perfectly confident I could manage being a single mother. I just don't know how to raise it with him, and I don't want to push him into saying yes if it's something he really doesn't want. I'm very aware the next step is speaking to O, and I also know that this needs to happen soon. Maybe I'm just being silly, but I can't stop imagining what it would be like to keep the baby, but I won't do that unless he's okay with it. How do I go about having this conversation? A few edits. I wasn't expecting so many comments, so I'm just editing to address a few points that have come up a lot. When I say we used protection, I meant I'm on the pill. Sorry if that was misleading. It's generally very effective. We both had recent clean checks. Neither of us had a rubber. So in the heat of the moment we took a gamble. I totally get that it was unwise, particularly given his concerns. Where I live, vasectomies really aren't common amongst people of our age group, particularly if they don't already have children. I know it's something he inquired about a while back, but the GP declined to make a referral on the basis of his mental health, questioned whether he was in the right state of mind to make the decision. I kind of get it, but it also seems very unfair and potentially discriminatory. Perhaps he could have got it done privately, but I have no idea about the cost and he struggles financially. Regarding O's mental health, he has very severe PTSD from childhood mistreatment. He manages it well, but obviously it's not something that just goes away. He also suffers from depression/anxiety/panic attacks, but the consensus is that those issues are symptoms of the PTSD rather than illnesses in their own right, if that makes sense. I seriously have no intention of asking for money from him regardless of what happens. I'm very comfortable financially, and if that changes for any reason, I have no doubt that my family would support me. I'm in a very privileged position. O is not. I genuinely don't have plans to trap him in a relationship with me. I love him very much, but as a friend. Obviously there's attraction there, but that's not the same as being in love and wanting a serious long-term relationship. I'm very certain he's on the same page. If I don't go ahead with this pregnancy, I most likely wouldn't consider a donor, but if I'm not lucky enough to find someone who wants to have a baby with me, I would definitely think about fostering/adoption. I've asked O to come round this evening and I'll tell him then and we can discuss it. Can't say I'm looking forward to it, but obviously it needs to be done. TLDR, I recently slept with a good friend and this week I found out I'm pregnant. He has always been massively against the idea of having kids, but I'm daydreaming about keeping it. I haven't told anyone yet and could probably do with some advice on how to approach it. You need to talk to him. It sounds like you already have your expectations with this relationship set in a good place, but I would also ask, like, is this how you want to have a baby? That's a reasonable question. I think as I get into my mid-30s, I'm lowering my expectations when it comes to this. If O was okay with it and happy to remain friends, I honestly think it would be a pretty good situation for me. The best thing to do is to tell him you're pregnant. You are aware he doesn't want children, but you do. Tell him you are open to him signing away parental rights and taking full responsibility, but are willing to discuss other options if he is interested in that. Don't keep it a secret. It's not fair to him or your child. Your child may grow up to resent you if they found out, and it's just generally a crappy thing to do. This is the best suggestion and advice. I mean, if you're sure you can manage without him, then do so. You know he's adamantly against being a father, so let him know you have no expectations that he'll be involved. Do not hold out hope that he'll miraculously step up to the plate and want to be a daddy. If you decide to go through with this, do it with the expectation that you will do this 100% on your own. One way or another, the friendship is probably over. Yeah, that's the problem. I don't think I can value a hypothetical baby over a friendship I really care about. I guess the idea of him continuing to be part of my life if I keep it is probably unrealistic. You should tell him, but even if you terminate the pregnancy, you may be facing a changed relationship with him. Lots of emotions involved. Most definitely. If she terminates, she might blame him for costing her her only chance of ever being a mother or something. This is a big messy situation. If you want to have the baby, have the baby. Just be aware that the family image you seem to have in mind won't happen, and be prepared that this is probably the end of your friendship with him because he won't want any reminders. That's my main problem. If I thought I could keep the baby and we could carry on being friends, then I think the decision would be easy. But I think he might really struggle to accept it, and my idea of him being okay with it and even being part of the baby's life is probably just a fantasy. There's a high possibility he won't want to keep being friends if you do keep the baby. This will also impact his future relationships and complicate those dynamics. I almost feel like you're hoping this pans out like a rom-com where he turns around and agrees to be a family with you and the baby, but it rarely ever works out like that in situations like these. Just some food for thought. It is 100% fantasy. He doesn't want kids, and he'll probably immediately offer to give up rights if you decide to keep it. You won't gain a co-parent and partner like you're hoping. If you keep this, he's out of your life permanently. I had a friend do exactly what you are thinking of. She had AONS with her best friend's brother, and got pregnant. He did not want the kid, but she did, and she kept it. Throughout the pregnancy she kept trying to text him, with no luck. The guy will get a new number, and make himself inaccessible to you. There will be no fun convos about what to name the baby or fun little traits the baby might have. You are on your own. On your own with any complications, scares, or worries. You will not have him to reach out to. When the baby is born, you run the risk of him giving up his parental rights on the spot and never seeing you or the baby ever again. Those things hurt. That doesn't feel good. You have to be okay with taking care of everything on your own, and losing any support from him. If I were you, I would discuss it with him and also find out why you want to have the baby. Do you have an image of what you think it will be like? Are you hoping he will come around? You need to think of all scenarios, including the ones that are uncomfortable to think of. Be prepared to get ghosted. This is a good summation of what could happen to OP. I would add OP seek therapy now to start working through this with non-biased guidance. Her family will probably support her and be wonderful, but that support needs someone to reality check her and guide her to being okay with letting go of the fantasy family image. I would 100% agree with this, and also add, those things will also hurt the child too. I'm gonna be honest, you sound like you have a crush and are hoping this will push him over the edge into loving you on some level. You've built up a fantasy in your head of all the cute things you'll do together. You need to treat this like you'll have as little help as possible. Your hours are going to change because you'll occasionally have a sick kid. The baby will keep you up long hours, so your work hours may change, or you may have to find a very flexible job. Your job may even treat you differently because you're a single parent. This can't be avoided. And you yourself said, you can't stop imagining keeping the baby. And presumably, with how you write, what would it be like with him in the picture? I also thought this. I think some more realism is required here. I totally agree with the last commenter. It really sounds like you fancy him, but you have to be realistic about the consequences of your decision, and also be prepared for the extremely likely event of him completely cutting you out of his life. As you said, he is completely against it. Remember that life is not a fairy tale or a rom-com, things will not always go the way you want them to. You can keep the baby and find someone who loves kids and shares your wants and never ever expect anything from the father. Worldwide comments of the day. This guy got his validation and is being told she's in the wrong yet still defending her actions. Story 1. She has been cheating, probably with multiple partners. You did the best thing breaking up. Move on, throw her stuff out and get yourself a new girlfriend. First time, she would have been gone the first time it happened. Do not take her back, change locks unless she left her keys. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more interesting and relatable Reddit videos.